Alrighty. We're throwing together some Nime stuff. Been wanting to do this for a while. People are really bad at fighting this character. Disclaimer one, you are not going to learn everything from this video. So much about this character that's confusing is going to require you to actually play the game. It's going to require you to try stuff. It's going to require you to lose. Particularly in neutral. The neutral stuff is really hard to lab. The first simple one for neutral is check her range. Alright. This is where you're safe. This right here. 9 can't do much here. But if you jump, hold on, let's set the bot to jump. Wow, where is jump? Wow, I can reach real well. So, jumping can be scary against 9. But the important thing to note is, like, look at the recovery on this, right? I'll just hold barrier. The recovery is actually quite long. It's not like, you know, a DP or anything, but the recovery on her stuff is quite long. 5B, her wind buttons are her safest buttons, and 5C, or her fire buttons, are the least safe. All of her A, B, and C plus a direction are identical. Water has the shortest total frames. Wind has the lowest recovery. Fire is just the worst in every way, but that is balanced by the fact that it leads to her best spells. Does she have, like, what are her... Hold on. So this is a good spell. This is, like, Goat Head's good. This spell is not great, and then, I mean, this one here is her worst one. So, not using fire, you're just limited to not good spells. Though, granted, water by itself is good, and wind by itself is fine, I guess. Anyway, we're not really here to talk about that too much. So neutral, you want to be aware of the fact that her movement is not great. This is the best movement she has. And this is caught with a jab. There's so many examples out there of how you could deal with this. So, what we do is... Actually, you know what? Let's make this easier on myself. Hopefully I remember to cut this out. Maybe I'm just like mad lazy and don't though. Hold on, let me, you know what? I'm just gonna side swap. I hate my controller. Alright. Now watch this. On reaction. This is layer 1. See all that? Now, what happens if 9 doesn't do that though? What if she does an up teleport? Oop, that wasn't the best teleport. Alright, let's try that again. All I did is that. Look at that. Sorry, let me go on this side. So, that is like the most important thing you need to know. If you can do that, you will just like ruin this character, right? Like, 9's neutral. Like, what? Is she gonna run at you? No. Okay. That's the gist of things. Some other things to talk about in neutral. Because this character is just like a walking knowledge check. So, her best neutral spell is this. That is insane. The counterplay to that, there's... Well, first of all, counterplays don't get hit. She cannot build that if you don't block her stuff, or if she doesn't hit you. So, just do that. Second, just block it. But the advanced stuff is to barrier break, right? Just run in real fast and break. Because you can see you get a bit of sliding momentum. And that lets you get close while blocking. And why that's good is 9 can't stay plus consistently because she needs to like position herself, right? So if I'm all the way over here, I'm timing it so, see, it makes contact with you and then I'm coming in to start pressure or continue the hit into a combo. But if you time it manually and decide when you want to block it, you force your own timing rather than letting me set up my own timing based on just glancing at the screen, that's going to make things a lot harder for me. Other spells are neutral. Fairy's just not good in neutral. I know it sounds insane, but just like move a lot. Observe Fairy's patterns here, right? I'm gonna deploy a Fairy here and watch how it attacks Ragnar and from what angles. So, front, back, above. So, as long as you are jumping for the first 2 hits and then have some sort of horizontal momentum for the last hit, it's really hard to hit. Even then, if you're full on sprinting, I'm pretty sure you can escape it. Let's test that, actually. See, it's really not that hard. Obviously, you don't want to be moving like that. It's not ideal, but yeah. Kunzite neutral's not very good. This. If this is hurting you, I've got a really... I don't know how to tell you this. Let me show you what the solution is. Alright, you ready? So. How do you... Wait, is this not bound? Oh, I might be silly. No, it's bound. Yeah, there we go. Alright. So. Wait. Man, Ragnar sucks. Hold on. So, alright, not every character can do it. It does depend on timing. I don't know the timing because I don't play against this character. Hold on. There we go. That should be enough. Alright. There. 19 counter hit recovery that whole time, by the way. So, just run at her. Your character might suck, and you might not be able to run. I'm sorry. But if you block it, you should be able to start moving. And you won't be able to get hit by another one unless you, like, stop for a moment. I think Amane and Kaga are the only characters that are, like, that have a run that are also slow enough to get hit by that anyway. Susano doesn't really count because he's got a fast run, but his has startup, so, like, obviously it's just a timing thing. What else is scary and neutral? How do you approach this character if she's doing this? Very slowly. Very slowly. Like, backdash in the air teleport, back teleport into an air button, very hard to contest. You can, but it requires, like, a pretty hard read, and the risk reward is, like, I mean, it might be in your favor, to be fair. It depends on your character, but I don't recommend that. It's a bit scary. You're just generally not supposed to approach in that way. What concepts is 9 weak to? Easy. She's weak to people who have more range than her. Consider a Murakumo, right? Where's the first Murakumo we see? Here we go. So, this is 9's range, right? Here. This is 9's range. This is Nu's range. Alright? Range. So, immediately, Nu visually has the advantage there, right? But, guess what? Look at Nu's movement. Look, she can just do whatever she wants. You know, she's got teleport forwards. She can just kind of move like crazy. This character's got the movement, right? Really good backdash. Really fast run. You know, which, granted, she needs. But you compare that to 9's movement. This is quite slow. In fact, it is reactably slow. The second teleport is always reactable. And she can't run. I mean, she has a good back walk. But, you know, no one's looking at back walk and be like, oh, that's so useful. And her forward walk's like, this is alright. But it's... her movement's not great. So you want to abuse that as best you can. I'm going to change this color. Hold on. What? That's... Alright, we're just going to go back to the Dark Magician girl. So, I think that's the gist of neutral. I don't think I have much more to say there. Nuanced questions, ask me. You probably know who I am if you're watching this video. Ask me. Alright, setups. Let's talk setups. This new player made a critical mistake, and they are going to get destroyed for it. Besides the fact they didn't block. What was the problem? They didn't tech immediately. Oh, sorry, other way around. They teched immediately. Tech immediately, very bad against 9. Especially against Fairy. Because if you tech immediately versus Fairy, I can just set up whatever I want. Look, This is for getting hit. Alright, now let's look, block, no, enemy stance, crouching, block everything, okay. So. Alright, so that happens if you don't delay tech. Now let me show you what happens. This should be it, I believe. Alright, so that's delay tech, so watch delay tech against Fairy. Didn't work. It just did not work, huh? It just doesn't work. So, delay teching against Fairy is step 1. Alright? So, have your little list. You know that emote that's like noted and it's the girl like nodding her head and then like writing on her page? Yeah. Alright, this is your first note. If you delay tech against Fairy in the corner, 9 has to manually time any mix-up, and there's going to be a gap as a result. On top of that, manually timing mix-up is sometimes very difficult. It's sometimes something you just cannot do. Look, I don't know about very difficult. It's a bit easier than I made it out to be, but it's still going to require a lot more effort, and the 9 player has to be ready to on a dime switch to that timing, and sometimes you don't have the freedom to time that however you want. So just make the 9 player actually think a bit more on offense, right? That's what you need to do, right? You don't want to be playing against some high tier who's just not thinking. Now let's talk mid-screen. What do you do against Fairy? It's actually really easy. Alright, ready? So let's just do a full combo. Hold on, from here, alright. Ah! That is 9's longest button. Just roll. Now, can 9 police this? Of course. She's not a bad character. Alright, this character doesn't suck. So, she can super jump, but guess what happens if she super jumps? As you've just seen by what I've shown off, block Fairy. Let me approach as fast as I can. Alright, that was my fastest approach. You block that Fairy hit, you jump, you backdash, whatever. You've just created a scramble. 9's not really the most mobile, so if your character has mobility, guess what? You just got out. Sorted. Alright, now let's look at the next cardinal sin. So what I've just shown you, by the way, is going to cover like 80% of scenarios. Because Fairy is just the best Okizeme, as they say. Oki, whatever you want to call it. But let's show off, because, you know, advanced 9s are going to use more than just Fairy every time, right? Even though Fairy is the safest, it's the most malleable, it's a bit easy to deal with if you use it too much. So let's look at a 9 who's doing something a bit more fancy. So what just happened there? Well, Fire Rain was preventing the opponent from jumping. There was a seed that's a low, then a mid, and then 9 used her overhead. What happened? What happened is, you let 9 build seed while Fire Rain was going. So, let's talk about the next cardinal sin, alright? Next piece of noted, well actually no, point 2. So you know I told you about your notepad? Point 1, delay tech against Fairy in the corner. Point 2, roll backwards in mid-screen. Mid-screen, just roll back. Some characters can't do that. If you're a fat character, be wary of rolling. Off the top of my head, Susano, Tega, and Rachel. You're the fat characters. Sorry, that's just how it goes. Sorry, Rachel. But just roll back like every time, and you're gonna be completely fine against this character. Now against Fire Rain in the corner, do not delay tech. 9 cannot build seed and then get a true unblockable unless you delay tech. If you delay tech, she can get a true unblockable against you, or at the very least a very difficult, what we call hard to blockable, where it's essentially impossible to block unless you're really lucky, because even like it can be like a 1 frame difference, and I don't know about you, but not many people are consistent moving their fingers 1 frame on reaction like that. But yeah, Seed. Seed's scary. You need to be worried about that. I'll talk about that in actually no. I'll finish Fire Rain discussion. Sorry, Scatterbrain. This is why you need um scripts, people. But yeah, just do not delay Fire Rain. If you wake up immediately into Fire Rain, you will have to block some hits. But if I want to use Seed, I would then need to uh like create a gap somewhere before the Fire Rain comes down. And in that time you jump out. You just escape. Get out of there. An escape option, by the way, is just up backing. If you just up back into the Fire Rain, you'll be suspended in the air while it's keeping you like stuck there. And then guess what? You're not going to get hit by any lows, and you certainly won't be getting hit by any overheads there. So just jump barrier, and you'll be safe. Fire Rain is a mid, of course. You just need to be able to jump into it. Now, the last form of Oki you might see, or Okizeme, whatever you want to call it, is something like this. This. Alright, I'll turn delay tech off, actually. Just for quick disclaimer, this setup's really hard and I'm bad at the timing. Alright, that is probably the trickiest thing I have under my belt as a 9 player that I can use easily. So that is if I'm not close enough to get a proper freeze ender, what I do is I build rock, I build seed, and then immediately swap it to my back pocket into JD. And then, wait, did I change something? No, okay. So what I'm doing is I'm building seed, swapping to back pocket to empty hit, which is really fucking hard, as you can see. And then I'm swapping back into seed and deploying it. So, guess what this is? This is a safe jump. If you're not familiar with the game enough to know what a safe jump is, it's falling with a button. Falling with a button into blocking, right? So if your opponent does a DP, your button will barely whiff through their invulnerability, and then you will land and instantly block. So you will block the DP. If they don't DP and instead just choose to block on wake up, then your attack will hit their block, and then you will be able to start pressure again. Even though you tapped block, you still overwhelmingly have the advantage because tapping block during an attack just does nothing, right? You walk backwards. So, yeah. So, that's the safe jump, and you need to block that, by the way. It's overhead first, and then low, then mid, and then, of course, 9 can do that. But what I did before is a falling J2A, rising J2A. That. So what I'm doing is really tricky. Watch carefully what happens in terms of the hits. Well, okay, that's another tricky one I can do. I actually misinput that. But even if I misinput, that's still pretty good. So that right there, that was overhead, low, overhead in quick succession. And if any of it hits, I do get a combo, though granted I mistimed there. But I can get a full combo there. So if you see a seed there, you just... I don't know how to tell you this, but you're just going to have to block like a god. And I'll be honest with you, not many people do. It's really hard. Now, on offense, what do you do about 9? So, what does 9 have for your offense? If you're pressuring 9, what can she do? Well, let's pay attention to her spell gauge at the bottom, right? I hit with 1, we've got water now. I can spend that for a spell, or I could use it on DP. Now, 9's glowy shit, who cares? This is like the least useful thing in all of BlazBlue. It's not even good. But it gives her a DP, and her DP is actually essentially perfectly safe on block. It's also like maybe the slowest DP in the game, but that can sometimes be a good thing. So how do you deal with it? Safe jump doesn't usually work because it's so slow. You can't just like button then block then press another button, and if they didn't make you block then you hit them, because 9's DP is so slow that you'll just press a button into it anyway because it's so slow. But it is vulnerable to a few option selects. This video is not going to go into depth on that. How long is this video, in fact? 20 minutes. So, go look up the ODOS, the 9 hit stop ODOS. you are probably watching this in a Discord or from a Discord of some description. Someone in there is almost certainly going to know what the ODOS is. In the AAFGC, which is like the main Discord I frequent, obviously, you can ping the Lag Wizard, or I believe Aether as well, or also Geese. Those three people, they're going to be able to tell you what the ODOS is. What about me? I'll be honest, I don't OS. I've also never had to fight a 9, so I don't really know. When it comes to dealing with that, I would just simply cope. But if you're interested in basically detonating a 9 player with your best starter while in overdrive, or one of your best starters while in overdrive, go check out the ODOS. It's pretty tricky, but you get a lot of damage for it. Otherwise, the solution is just to stagger your buttons. 9 does have the 4-frame teleport, so if you respect her too much, she can just teleport out, and unfortunately, you just need to be ready to catch that. On that note, if 9 pushes you out by blocking heaps with barrier, try not to run in and re-engage quickly, as tempting as that is, because 9 wants to leave, right? She's in a bad spot. She can't modulate, like, look, she can't modulate her distance unless she teleports or walks forward slowly. Walk forward, not a good idea. Not many people doing it. But teleport, she's going to try that. And so if you're the new player here, you just wait here, right? Hold on. So 9 teleports here, and as the new player, you just got to be standing here. The moment you see the teleport happen, you go bop, bop. Right, you do 2A to check the first teleport, and then the 5A to check the second teleport. Obviously she could double teleport away, and that's where you've got the rock, paper, scissors, right? You got to decide, are you going to check here, and then up here, or are you going to check here, and then check over here? Easier said than done, I know, but it's the unique RPS that 9 creates with her movement. Other characters do similar things. Some characters can, air dash, whereas 9 has to teleport, right? And then air dashes, they have different ranges, blah, 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 blah. But 9's is, like, particularly poignant because it's very visible. So how do you deal with this? Keep your strings tight, or if you don't keep it tight, try to leave a 3-frame or less gap. But I'll be honest with you, 9s are not going to be mashing out. They're only going to be mashing out like this if you've got projectile stuff. Because this is frame 1 projectile involved. It's frame 4 everything else, but frame 1 projectile. So if you're a projectile character like New and you're relying on projectile Oki, you probably need to give up some of that Oki. But the good news is, if 9 doesn't have her DP available, then this is her DP. And this thing, you tap up and it whiffs. It's also incredibly slow and easily hit stop OS. Sometimes you'll just be able to block anyway if you're doing light stagger pressure. This is her other stuff that she uses on Wake Up. This is not a DP. You can hit her out of the startup of this. It's like, I want to say 7 frames, 6 or 7 frames of vulnerability. She just uses that to like blow people up who aren't being, they're not timing their meaties well. So if that's hitting you, I'm sorry, but just hit her, idiot, forehead, Pepega, yeah. Nah, but like, being a dick aside, like, yeah, just hit her, and that's gonna result in her getting comboed. If that hits you, well, if that comes out successfully, she's almost always safe. There are very few characters in the game that can do anything about that. Overdrive is the only, like, close range overdrive is the only thing I can think of off the top of my head that every character can do. Otherwise, you are just going to get owned by the fact that this is, like, plus a lot, and leads to a combo. It also gives her 2 random level 3 spells. So watch my stocks. Yep, so that time I just got the 2 best Oki spells in the game, right? And so now, while you're getting up, as you can see, yeah, I just get that for free. Fairy still in my back pocket. Other things to note about 9 on defense. This is her anti-air with head invuln. This thing is not good. On counter hit, let me show you the combo she gets on counter hit. Nope. I'm trying to think. No. I got this. I promise I'll get it. That's the counter hit combo. And don't get me wrong, you do get fairy off of it. But that is the risk that she takes, right? Well, so that's the reward she gets, but the risk she takes is this. It's not. It's pretty much exactly what you see, hitbox wise. It whiffs right there. If you block it, she has no cancel options. If you just jump up in the air and come down to bait this with shield or barrier, sorry, she's dead. This is crouching recovery, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, until here, crouching recovery. So just end her life, basically. It does have good head invuln though, but it is tied to a very awkward input, so she has a similar problem to Izuyoi and Jin, where it's like it's not quite the input you really want to be going for an anti-air. It's still better than Jin's, I think, but it's still a bit grim. Do not really worry about it. 9 players don't like to use it anyway, because if you can anti-air, this is like 4-frame head invuln, right? So if you can do this, you can also do this. And so just leaving is usually easier. Or at least this, right? Because it's easier while blocking to then tap backwards and then transition that into a forward teleport, or backwards and up. That'll usually beat most jump ins. In neutral, she's never using this though. If she's defending in neutral, like, you know, expecting someone to jump in, this. I'm looping back around to neutral real quick, but I guess I should mention. This loses to lower grounded approaches, so Nu can just do this. But obviously, this still hits people. This... Guess what this loses to? I feel like Dora the Explorer. That's right, it loses to IAD. Hold on. Whoa! So, just air dash at her. Some stuff... So some niche stuff 9 can do. In neutral. This. This is like actually kind of crazy. It's really strong. MTJD. I think the reason it's so strong is there's like barely any recovery on it. Wait. Oh, it's just... Does it just not have recovery if it once she touches the ground? Wow. So you look at the recovery normally. Now watch what happens when I do TKJD. If you block that, hold on. Jumping, block everything. So let me see if I can time this right. Yeah, this is like essentially plus. Hold on, let me see if I can time it again. Wait, why did that... Yeah, like, barely minus, and due to the spacing, yeah, you like, there's no way you're going to be able to punish 9 there. So this is one of her safest things, but it does lose to like some call-out 3Cs, because most 3Cs are going to be able to reach her anyway. She's not off the ground very long here, or very high. But like, this JD is quite strong. It's also her safest round start option, right? 9 can catch anything from round start. She can catch a jump, she can catch a backdash, she can catch forward jump, she can catch run up, she can catch, you know, an attack with one of those, she can catch standing there, or blocking high. Blocking low is like one of the things she can't really deal with, but she could just do this instead and win neutral almost immediately. So she can catch basically anything you do around start with a call out, but you can do the same to her. If she does, or maybe not double backdash to be fair, but if she does double backdash at round start, you've got a lot of screen space to work with, especially if you're a mobile character. So I'm just trying to think of any little like final tidbits that I'd recommend. Oh, let's talk about the reset. So 9 went for a fairy there. How did you know that there was a fairy coming? Did you know that there was a fairy coming? Maybe you didn't. Alright, let's go again. There's a rock there. Did you know the rock was coming? How did you know the rock was coming? Did you know the rock was coming at all? Did you know the low was coming there into rock? Did you expect the rock and then got hit by the low? How did you know that that was fairy and not a rock reset? So, let's talk about telegraphs. Nine's Kunzite, by the way, is a frame 1 telegraph. That pose she does there? This is like a frame 1 pose, I think. Maybe it's frame 2, but it's frame 1 or 2. So even though this overhead is like 21 frames and is one of the fastest overheads in the game for like standing overheads, it is a frame 1 telegraph, which actually makes it, in terms of reacting, it's one of the easier in the game to react to if you're able to recognize this pose. You need to train yourself to recognize this. If you can recognize this, guess what? This character's doomed, bro. Not doomed. She's still good. This is fucking +6. How can she be bad? But rock. Rock is built with fire, fire, water. So if you just covered the bottom of my screen right now and covered 9, you know that because I did fire, fire... Oops. If I did fire, fire, water, you know that there's a rock there. What else can it be? So if I go fire, fire, water... If I press fire, what happens? You know, Dora the Explorer time. What do you think happens if 9 presses fire? That's right! She still has rock. So, that's the... Essentially, that's her ice reset, right? What I just showed you there, that is the theory behind her ice reset. So I've got fairy here, but you'll notice that's 2C, not 3C. I haven't knocked down. But now I've got rock. And so if I spaced those hits a bit, watch what happens. A sudden rock out of nowhere. Let's demonstrate again. And if you weren't blocking low there, then that 3C would have hit you, and then you need to immediately block high. But, okay, so you just need to block low and then react to the high after. Oops. Rock. But, the astute among us, may have noticed that I did something different there. So this is fairy. Oops, I didn't do that right. Well, let's build fairy. Water, water, fire. But let's build rock. Water, fire, fire. The 3 buttons in a row need to create rock somehow. Which is why, when I'm building for the reset, fire first. But watch what happens when I do a fairy combo. That was not a fire first, that was water, water, fire. If you see a 9 do falling fire, I can almost guarantee you are going to see a rock. I can almost guarantee it. But, if she doesn't, then instead she's just going to hit you with a fairy, which is a combo anyway. So if you see the falling fire, you should probably just be ready to react to rock. If you're feeling risky enough, don't even bother reacting, just hold block high. Just hold the block high. That is going to let you deal with her ice resets really easily, so she doesn't hit you with stuff that looks a bit like this. There you go. Offense. What other tricks does she have on offense? This. That's really annoying and hard for most people to deal with because, well, most characters, because like it's just a projectile. You have to accept that it's about to hit you or you jump, but that's what 9 is there for. She goes, rising, air button, keep you blocking. And then she can just build a full spell while you're in the air, bring you to the ground, possibly kunzite you. It's grim. This thing is really good. If that's being a struggle for you, that's very normal. Try not to worry too much about it. In terms of what you can do to deal with it, I am sorry, it's just going to be respect it, do the tiniest microdash forwards into block ever, or just try to throw 9's timing off, basically. Your goal when defending against 9 is throw her timing off, don't let her get the good timing. I don't know if there's much else to talk about in terms of beating 9. If you've paid attention to this full video and watched the full 34 minutes and 40 seconds as of now, then like you're insane and you deserve to be winning against 9 players. As I said before at the very start, you're going to need to experiment. You're going to need to spend some time learning what you can. Not just this, but also like what can your character do, you know? You've got the simple example. I'm Ragnar the Blood Edge. What can I do against 9 as Ragnar? It's like, alright, well, off the top of my head, 5A is really good, 2A is really good, 2B is not too bad. 5D is a high risk, but decently high reward. I don't believe Ragnar gets much off of his 5D counter hit, to be fair. But, like, if you're trying to deal with teleports, then, like, yeah, 5D is actually a pretty funny option that can work a lot of the time, especially if you use it at the right time in terms of spacing. He also has Hell's Fang. Hell's Fang is great at closing the gap. But then, this information is useless to you if you're a Taiga player. This is not helpful in the slightest. And frankly, even if you're playing, you know, the best character in the game, Izanami or Rachel or S or whoever you think the best is, this information is not really helpful to you if you're playing that character. So what can those characters do? Well, sometimes the answer is, as Izanami, just avoid the situation entirely. Sometimes it's just be the better character, win neutral, win from there. What can you do on defense as these characters? Who knows, right? There's a lot of stuff that you are going to need to learn about what you can do against 9. You may have noticed by now, wow, this witch chick, she requires so much effort to beat, and unfortunately, yes, you're right. This character is effort to play against. She is usually not having to put in as much effort as her opponent is, but the flip side of that is if you know the stuff that 9 does, if you've put the effort in, this character is actually nowhere near as scary as she's made out to be. Which is why lower skill players often tend to rate 9. Okay, I'm going on like a tier list rant now, so you like feel free to click off the video. But if you're interested in listening to me talk, keep watching, I guess. But lower skill players tend to think 9's the best character in the game because she's just so hard to deal with if you've not got the knowledge. But if you've got the knowledge, like, even if you could never react to a goddamn thing, you could just, like, basically use logic and risk reward to figure out when the rock is likely to come. And, like, 9 is going to struggle even if you can't react, right? Because you just know when she's likely to go for stuff. Also, I will kind of, you know, say the cheesy line and say, well, 9's got the slowest overhead in the game because she has to telegraph at multiple attacks in advance. And it's like, yeah, haha. But, like, unless, like, there's very few scenarios where 9 can just choose to threaten an overhead at any time. Usually it's just going to be a single instance of high-low. That's usually the best she's got. If the 9 has had, like, the patience and the opportunity to create a situation of, you know, 3 hits and then she can do 2 lows in a row, but both of those lows would build Kunzite as well, and then she can end with 3C as a third low, which could also build Kunzite. In those cases, like, yeah, that's gonna really hurt, and you will just have to be switched on and react. But, yeah, I guess we'll talk about CMOS as well, actually. People have already clicked off. CMOS is stock swap. I probably should have talked about this earlier. But she can swap into Rock at any time, so if that happens, you just have to be ready for that. I believe it's like almost 30 frames, if not just 30 frames, to go from... Let me see. Hold on. Ah! I got rid of it. That would be close to 30 frames, yeah. Which is very, very reactable. So, yeah, I think this is the gist of 9. I don't really have much else to say. You will see setups that I haven't shown in this video. I've only shown off the common ones, the ones I see people actually use. I know that there's something I'm experimenting with right now, which is Morganite endings, which is the seed. So this, for example, this puts you in a bit of a grim scenario, right? That's not a great scenario for you, because you have to get up, and there's this 2-hit, like, dole property, which is projectile, actually, but, like, this 2-hit move is about to hit you when you get up, and if you don't get up, it's going to hit you anyway and start a new combo. So what do you do there? That's a pretty grim situation. I don't actually know the answer there, but there could be an answer. I don't know. I am still working on that. I'm still learning about that. There are so many things that 9 can do that I have not shown you here, and it is going to require you to just apply, unfortunately, some critical thinking. It's just going to be a case of, okay, what can I do? What's overhead? What's low? You are going to have to sit down and think about it. This character is going to turn this game into effort for you. I'm sorry, this game is effort. I hate to say it. even if you're playing, you know, one of those so-called brain-dead win-the-game characters, you're still going to have to know what to do against 9. This character's good. But hopefully this was in any way helpful. If you have questions, direct them to... Oh, I was going to say my old Discord tag, but they changed the whole fucking, like, name system. It is at Hutch4K. Hutch, the number 4, the letter K. That is because my old numbers before they changed the Discord system was Hutch number 4000. And I was happy about that number because I didn't pick that number. Anyway, this is off tangent. Off tangent? God, I'm so fucking bad at this. Um, but yeah, direct questions to me. If it is a question into my DM specifically, please specify that you are not a scam bot, but just come here from my 9 video, and that'll be cool, thumbs up, I'll answer you. I tend to ignore people if they're not on my friends list, or if they're not in multiple shared servers, because I just assume that they're here to scam me. If you're DMing me through another avenue, such as the CF main Discord as a 9 mentor, or through the 9 Discord, or through AAFGC, then don't worry so much. I'll know who you are. Tell me you saw the video. Tell me if there's anything you don't understand. Ask questions or say hi. I won't mind. Anyway, I killed enough time. Just trying to squeeze that money in. The ad revenue, bros. All of these ads I'm going to run in this 41-minute video. I'm not running ads, by the way. If you get ads, it's because the music I played was copyright stricken. The video's been so over, by the way. I could have just pressed recording, stop recording so long ago. But here you are. If you watch to the end here, go into the video and leave a smiley face in the comments. How about that? I love these cute little things that YouTubers sometimes do. It's like, hey, if you watch this long, let me know. Yeah, I'd be curious to know. If you skipped here, then die!